Welcome to another ukulele tutorial. I'm Lara, and today we're doing a short lesson on bar chords. Bar chords are formed when we use one of our left-hand fingers to cross multiple strings on the same fret. We could be covering 2 strings, 3 strings, or even all 4 strings. When beginners first come across bar chords, they can be really challenging to play, so I'm going to give you 5 tips that will help you to improve your left-hand technique and make bar chords easier to play. The first tip is to make sure your left thumb is pressed into the back of the neck. Let's use the B minor 7 chord as an example. This chord crosses all 4 strings on the 2nd fret. When we play this chord, we'll pay special attention to our thumb. So our thumb should be on the back of the neck in the center so that we have opposing pressure between our thumb and our index finger. If your thumb comes up over the top of the neck, or if it's at different angles, it's going to be really challenging to get the pressure you need to properly bar the chord. So make sure your thumb is tucked in right in the center of the back of the neck. The second tip is to change the angle of your finger that is playing the bar chord. Now coming back to our B minor 7 chord, rather than placing our index finger flat against the strings, we're going to angle it to the side, and you might even have a bit of a curve to your index finger. The goal is to press against the strings with the side of our finger rather than with the flat part of our finger. This makes it much easier to bar the chord. Tip number 3 is to play closer to the fret. Now we'll look at another bar chord example. This is C minor. I'm playing the 3rd fret across strings 1, 2, and 3. Notice how close my index finger is to the fret. If I move it farther away from the fret, it's going to require a lot more pressure from my finger to be able to play this chord cleanly. So try to get as close as you possibly can to the fret. Tip number 4 is to use your middle finger for additional support. Now going back to our B minor 7 chord, we're going to bar the 2nd fret across all 4 strings, and I'm going to use my middle finger for additional support against my index finger. This makes it a lot easier to play the chord. Tip number 5 is to bar all 4 strings, even on chords that only require you to bar 2 or 3 strings. Let's take a close look at this. For this tip, we're going to look at B flat. And this chord can be played in multiple ways. One way to do it is to bar the first 2 strings across the 1st fret, and then play the 2nd fret of the 3rd string and the 3rd fret of the 4th string. This is one example of a chord where you might find it easier and more comfortable to bar all 4 strings rather than only 2. So to form this entire chord shape, we can bar all 4 strings on the 1st fret and then place down our other 2 fingers to form the rest of the chord. Now let's go back to our C minor example. This chord crosses the first 3 strings on the 3rd fret. This is not a chord where we could bar all 4 strings because the 4th string is meant to be open. As you look into options for your bar chords, and perhaps try barring all 4 strings rather than only 3 or 2, just make sure that there are no intended open strings or intended fingerings on the frets that are lower than the fret that you're barring. If you found this lesson helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for subscribing. Now you have 5 tips to work on your bar chords, so have fun with your ukulele, and thank you so much for watching.